Hi, everyone. I have the privilege today to start the VFC Insight series, and I'm so glad I have Nick Pollard with us today. I met Nick back at NEU when I was the Assistant Director of Veteran Military Services, and he was a student staff member at the Veteran Success Center. And also, you were the president or vice president of the Student Veterans of America.
Yep, I was the president
The
during the whole
president.
COVID.
So you did all the SVA online then?
Pretty much, I mean, we did a lot of stuff online, but at the end of it, we try to get people out. Remember the disc golf tournament?
That's right.
We created that paddles, pools, and controller tournament.
We carried that on, right?
Yeah, I see the posts. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man, that's really cool.
I thought you were amazing at supporting students. And so the fact that you now work for the VA in Tucson, it just seems like an absolutely natural progression because you know your stuff. You're so good working with people. What is your military background, Nick?
I was in the United States Navy, specifically damage control, third class petty officer. I was in from 2014 to 2017.
Tell me what your title is.
I actually work, and it's very common misconception. I don't work for the VA. I actually work for the state of Arizona. So I am what's called the Veteran Benefits Counselors, or VBCs, but we're more well known as Veteran Service Officers, or VSOs. So our main purpose is to assist veterans and their families for filing benefits to the VA. You know, one of the main ones is VA disability. It's the biggest one we probably assist with, as well as survivor benefits, those sorts of things.
How long have you been doing that?
This will be 3.5 years.
So do you work ever with the VA directly?
Yeah, so each state has their own state department that helps veterans. Not all of them have VSOs, but the federal VA here in Arizona usually partners with the state, us, to assist them with their benefits. So 9 times out of 10, the veteran goes to the VA hospital and says, hey, I want to file a disability claim. More likely than not, they're going to give you our contact number because they already know we're federally certified to assist the veterans. We usually partner with the VA twice a year to do semi-annual training to make sure we're updated on all the policies and regulations in terms of disability along with the other benefits. So yeah, we work pretty closely with the VA.
Right.
So because be completely honest, there are tons of information on the internet and YouTube about disability. A lot of it is either old policies or misconceptions. So we try to be as up to date as possible to make sure the most correct information is getting out there.
Right. That is so important. And so that's why I do this program, because my two pillars are education benefits and VA home loan. And then after this, I'm going to put you on as a resource because they're just completely getting misconceptions about so many different things. When you got out of the military, how easy was it for you at that time to kind of gather that information or figure out where to go?
When I first separated, it was almost like trying to play tag in the dark. It was very confusing when I first separated. And I know me and you have talked about that before. One of the main reasons I came to work for you is the school I ended up going to right upon separation. There was almost no guidance or anything like that in terms of using your VA education benefits. So that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. And then when I transferred up to NAU, of course, I saw the brighter side of using education benefits with a school that had a department that would actually, support veteran students. So
Yeah.
once I got to NAU, it was crystal clear. But before that, it was
it was hard. Yeah, I love how you said that. It's like playing tag in the dark. Yeah, you're right. You do need to have someone that's been there, done that before. And then your VA loan. You and I talked about that a little bit. Have you ever used a VA home loan?
I have not, besides the information I'm getting from you. So I appreciate that.
Now, are you working in Tucson proper, or since you work for the state, what's your range?
I work in person at the Tucson area, but I also do both telephonic and videophonic appointments, and that's for veterans all throughout the state of Arizona. So my area is kind of a combination of both Tucson specific for in person, but virtually I can help any veteran across the state. And actually, we assist some veterans that are not even in the state of Arizona.
The problem is people don't really know where to find.
Exactly.
It, right? So how do you get the word out? How do you get people to know to come to you?
Personally, I do a lot of outreach. I always carry my cards on me now, if I see veterans here and there. But there is a large population of the veteran community here in the state that actually don't even know we exist, right? They know about American Legion or VFW or Disabled Veterans of America, but they don't know there's someone local that can assist them as well. So a lot of our focus for the state recently has been going out and doing outreach to make sure that, we're out there. We go to the stand downs. There's a veteran event here coming up that I'll be attending to make sure to get our information out there. So we try our best, but we know we're not reaching everybody, but we're trying our best to get out there to make sure that the veteran population know that we're here to assist them.
Do you work closely with the VA, and do you collaborate with other resources within the state?
Well, we have tons of VSOs with our agency specifically, but we also partner with other veteran agencies to make sure veterans get their specific benefits or just need assistance. For instance, when I work in person on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I actually work it's called the Keno Veterans Workforce Center. So,
are there any unused programs or benefits that you wish that veterans would know about?
One of them comes to mind because a lot of veterans come to us, and the main priority is trying to get that 100% disability rating, right? That's usually one of the main priorities. There is a benefit called individual unemployability that we can help this veteran apply for. That's through the VA. It's again a VA benefit, and essentially it's unemployment for veterans. So if a veteran cannot work or gain employment due to a service-connected disability, then as long as we can prove that service-connected disability prevents them from gaining or maintaining work, they can be paid at the 100% disability rate and keep their, rating where it's at. So that's a benefit. That's not too well known.
I hear that a lot, that people have a rating and they're trying to increase it to different levels. So this is when they already have a disability rating.
Yes.
Under 100, and they're trying to get 100, and they're kind of falling short of that. So how do you do
whether
that?
It's no documentation of an injury, or if they've kind of maxed out that benefit and they're still kind of struggling, especially if their disability is preventing them from finding a job, that's definitely a benefit to utilize, because obviously that would allow them to get more compensation for them to utilize for.
Is it for people from the Vietnam era?
It's for any era. You have to have at least one day during a wartime period. So
just one day during. I'm so happy that you're on here. Can you tell me a piece of advice that you find yourself often giving to veterans about how to navigate their VA services?
I would say one of the biggest things I would say is, and we kind of already touched on it, be careful what you read about on the internet or get from your buddy or the veteran sitting next to you.
Or Reddit.
Reddit, yes.
Why is Reddit so? I saw it on Reddit, and I'm like, okay.
I get that one, or do you follow this guy on YouTube because he told me this, and this, and just be careful on what you research or look up. Again, there's a lot of misinformation out there, or it may have been correct but just not up to date. The VA is constantly changing policies, so it's and that's one of the main reasons why we have training twice a year to make sure we're on top of those updates. But yeah, I would say just be careful what you read. Documentation is everything. That's one thing the VA looks for. Documentation is everything with the VA, and that goes for any benefit. You probably see it on your side when you're assisting with home loan stuff. Right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the COE is our bread and butter for both education, and then for the VA, it's a separate COE for the VA home loan, and people don't know how to find it. So that's very common. My assumption is yes, but I don't want to assume anything. Are you working with the younger generation more so right now, or what's your kind of?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
It's a little bit of both. Being right next to Davis-Monthan and not too far of a drive from Fort Huachuca, some veterans come up this way. We get a lot of retirees, right? We get a lot of veterans who are separating, but we still find ourselves helping a lot of veterans, Vietnam era, some Gulf War era still. So we definitely still see quite a bit of those people, but we see a good mixture of everybody.
Right. So it's good to encourage people of all ages, no matter what era that you served. And you have new stuff all the time.
Yeah, and that's a very common thing. We still get older vets in here. I served in Vietnam era. I don't even know if I'm eligible. I just wanted to come check and be like, yeah, you're always eligible to apply. It's just whether the VA will approve it or not. That's the key thing
Yeah.
we want to put across there. And even more, I want to touch on just kind of Vietnam era real quick.
Oh, yeah.
The VA has what's called presumptive conditions. So what a presumptive condition is, it's a condition the VA knows is associated with a certain type of exposure. So there's kind of three big groups within that. So there's Vietnam era, obviously with Agent Orange. The second group is veterans exposed to toxic waters in Camp Lejeune. And then the third one, which is, I think, the biggest one, it's post 9/11 and Gulf War veterans exposed to burn pits in the Southwest Asia theater area. So that's Bahrain, Djibouti, the UAE, Iraq, Afghanistan, that whole area. So the VA basically has a list of injuries they have associated with those exposures. And the good thing about that is if a veteran does have one of those injuries and they have a diagnosis, that's the only thing they need to provide the VA for disability. They don't need to prove that it stems from military service because the VA has already gone out and done that footwork for them. That's why it's called a presumptive. They're presuming if you were stationed or deployed over there, if you have one of these injuries, is due to that exposure. So that's why a lot of Vietnam era veterans who may not have the documentation, if they have an injury that's on that list, then that's all we need to show the VA, and that's their kind of in to get their VA disability.
That is absolutely amazing advice. You literally just swept every, except for World War II, which we don't have any left. I don't know, maybe a couple. But you just swept all of the different age groups, Nick. That is awesome. Is there anything else that you want to share?
Probably another thing too, and this isn't for veterans specifically. If you are a surviving spouse or even a surviving dependent of a veteran, you may qualify for benefits as well. That there's another kind of common misconception. I want to make sure that kind of comes across. A lot of veterans who get their disability, they assume if something happened to them, a portion of that will go to the surviving spouse. That is not the case. Survivor benefits are not automatic. They still have to apply for those benefits with either a veteran service officer like myself or another agency, or they can even do it themselves. I just want to make sure that it comes across that those aren't automatic. Unfortunately, we've had situations where spouses come to us and because they automatically thought a benefit was going to them, it produces financial hardship, which we want to obviously avoid to try to assist right away. It's a very common misconception we get all the time that we're trying to make sure we squash.
Right. That's excellent. I'm just so thankful that you came today, Nick. And for anyone watching, if they want to meet with you in Tucson, so if they want to meet you in person in your office or telephonically for video chat or over the phone, how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so we have an appointment hotline, and they can call that to set an appointment with me or any VSO in their area, again with the state, and that is 602-535-1215.
Well, thank you, Nick. I know that when I worked with you at the Veteran Success Center at NAU, that you are amazing supporting those who have served and their family members, and you just continue to pay it forward, and you're just doing really great work. And so I appreciate you, and I'm so happy that I got to see some video of Little River, and congratulations to you guys in Tucson area, and we'll catch up next time.
Perfect. Thank you very much.